Before the prison, before the palace, there was a boy, 17 years old, asleep in a tent, and a God who had already written the ending. In the dream, 11 sheaves bowed to one, the sun, the moon, 11 stars, all bending to a single point of light. What nobody knew, the most powerful being in existence was watching that boy sleep, and had been, since before he was born.
He's getting closer. We have to decide now.
His own brothers saw him coming and made a plan, not in the heat of anger, in cold calculation. They decided the price of his life and waited for him to walk into it. 20 pieces of silver. They watched the caravan disappear, then soaked his coat in blood and went home to their father. He arrived in Egypt with nothing. No name, no language. 100 miles from everyone who loved him. 17 years old. And somehow, he didn't break. He still rose. Because God's hand doesn't lift based on your circumstances. It lifts based on your assignment. But someone in that house couldn't stand to be refused. For a crime he didn't commit. The door closed, and the world above continued without him. Completely unaware it had just locked away the man who would one day save it. Days became months. Months became years. No rescue, no explanation, no burning bush. Just a man, and a God who apparently had nothing to say. What looked like abandonment from inside those walls looked completely different from outside them. God had not moved. Not once. Pharaoh had never been afraid of anything. Then God sent him a message in the only language that crosses every border. A dream no one could explain. The decoder was in a prison cell 3 miles away. When Joseph stood before Pharaoh, he said, "It is not in me. God will give the answer." 13 years of suffering. And the first thing out of his mouth in the most powerful room on earth was that the credit belonged to someone else. For 7 years, he stored what others were celebrating, because the dream was never wrong. Then the sky closed, and people came from every nation to the one place where someone had prepared. The 10 men who sold him came too. They bowed with their faces to the ground, exactly as the dream had shown, and had no idea who was looking down at them. He could have destroyed them. Instead, he excused himself, walked to a private room, and wept. Then washed his face, put the collar back on, and continued, because he needed to know if they had changed. 3 words: "I am Joseph." And 13 years collapsed in one breath. The man they sold was standing in front of them, alive, powerful, and with his arms open. He didn't just survive what they did to him. He became the reason they survived. What they meant for evil, God had already meant for this.